Master, which is the great commandment? All our life is in that major key. And no matter what we do, if we don't do it in that mode, we are off key. One of the saddest things that one can see now and again in Christian history is to see a situation of places consecrated to the service of God, where all is perfect, but it's off key. When, in the interests of the glory of God, souls are hurting. I remember hearing this some years ago, that there was a case of a superior general who was fairly keen on obtaining discipline, but managed always to cause pain. And I heard on the grapevine that that pain sometimes could be fairly acute and could have severe consequences. And we're talking about the contemplative life. And I heard of one case where a brother had written to that superior general, and the letter coming back was so severe that a few days later he was found dead, and we think by his own hand. And I heard this and didn't say much, but said to myself, there's something not right here. The whole structure is perfect, but it's somehow not built on the right thing. Now, if that's true in a contemplative order, is it not true, perhaps, for us? We have a choice as we go through life, and I mean every day. Will I, at the end of this day, have given joy or pain? And no matter what I do for the glory of God, if I've caused but pain, I too am completely off key. We notice that the Lord doesn't just stop at the answer to the question. He could have stopped there, because he gave the answer, the great commandment. He went straight into the other bit and tagged it on as inseparable. And that too must be our case. We are responsible for each other. I want to give you 3 accounts, each true, of things which indicate that heaven takes far more seriously than we do certain things, and how we have an impact on each other, actually eternally. A young man was leading an apparently, notice this, Christian life. But he had an enemy whom he hated. Now, look into your soul. Ask, am I perhaps there as well? Is there unforgiveness? The secret bits of charity. Because in prayer, if it's not handled, our prayer too is not in the right key. And, notice, while frequenting the sacraments, he all the while harboured in his heart sentiments of ill will and revenge. After his death, he appeared to his father and told him that he was damned for not having forgiven his enemy. And he added this: "Ah, if all the stars in heaven were so many tongues of fire, they could not express what torments I endure." Tongues of fire appeared at Pentecost. And the Spirit of our God is fire, and therefore charity and warmth. And all that we do is Trinitarian, and we must live love without separating him and those he gives us. It can't be done. There was a young man who took pleasure in immodest thoughts. Now this is for our time. These can be nourished just by opening something in one's pocket, and one is much solicited to do so. Therefore, this problem is far more serious now than this was written some time ago. Young men, take note. He fell sick and did receive the last sacraments. Now this next bit is actually quite frightening. He did receive the last sacraments. The next day, his confessor, going to visit him again, saw him on the road coming to meet him. "Go no further. I am dead and damned." "How? Did you not make a good confession of your sins?" "Yes, I made a good confession, but afterwards the devil represented to me sinful pleasures and asked me whether, in case of a cure, I should not return again to my pleasures. I consented to these evil suggestions, and at the same moment, death surprised me." This is for you women. We help or harm each other in many ways, and you women have ways and means of harming us men a lot, and are responsible, even though you don't realize it, for the consequences. A noble lady who was noticed exceedingly pious asked God to make known to her what displeased his divine majesty most in persons of her sex. The Lord vouchsafed in a miraculous manner to hear her prayer. He opened under her eyes the eternal abyss. There she saw a woman a prey to cruel torments, and in her recognized one of her friends, a short time previously deceased. This sight caused her as much astonishment as grief. The person whom she saw damned did not seem to her to have lived badly. Then that unhappy soul said to her, "It is true that I practiced religion, but I was," take note you women, "a slave of vanity, ruled by the passion to please. I was not afraid to adopt indecent fashions to attract attention. And I kindled the fire of impurity in more than one heart. If Christian women knew how much immodesty in dress displeases God. This morning, on the way back from church, just after 9, I paused in Dulique Abbey, just in front of the house, prayed and reflected, and looked at the tombs about me. Here it all ends. Each tomb is very quiet, but each tomb is an eternity with a story that will never, ever